Good morning. Welcome to the Polyvagal Theory exercise class. We're going to be working on grounding in Ventral. That's the bioenergetic analysis version of Deb Dana's anchoring in vagal. We're grounding in the ground and into our ventral vagal nervous system. So we're going to work on that this morning. We're going to do a lot of eye exercises to waken up the vagus. We're going to use a lot of work on the end organs of the somatic nerves, cranial nerves, so we can awaken the cranial nerves, have them work, have them wake up, and have them stimulate the vagus. So that's a very good way to anchor ourselves, to ground ourselves in ventral. So let's start. Before we start directly with the vagal, we're going to ground ourselves into the ground and into ourselves, because we always ground into the ground with the good help of the benevolent gravitational force, and we're going to ground into ourselves. So let's get up. So I want to stand with my feet apart so that they're a continuation of the alignment of the pelvis. So about the width of the pelvic of these bones, okay? Not of all of the stuffing or that we have on the sides. And I want the outer edges of the feet to be parallel. The outer edges. Let's take a look at the feet. So what we want, if we have the inner edges parallel, we're going to stand a little bit like this. It's not full-blown Charlie Chaplin, but it's a little bit constricting the pelvic floor. What we want is a really open pelvic floor. So we want to take the heels a little bit to the out, and so the outer edges of the feet are parallel. That may feel a little bit queer, a little bit, uncomfortable in the beginning in the knees. If it's painful, don't do it. Close a little bit. Have the heels a little bit closer together. But if it's just slightly uncomfortable because we're not used to it, let's give it a go. Let's give it a try in this and other exercises and see if we can habituate ourselves to it. We need to grow a neural network that supports this as a habit, because it's really good to have our pelvis open and the pelvic floor open. So we're going to take a breath and have an elongated exhalation with some voice. We're going to start activating the voice box, and we're going to elongate the exhalation a little bit, but by the end the exhalation is over, all we do is let go and have the inhalation come in spontaneously without any effort, without doing it. Rather, we're just going to let it happen. So we exhale. We're not afraid of elongating it a little bit, maybe even touching that moment of, I have no air, and then just let go. And we'll notice that the breath deepens as a result of this. So active exhalation, passive inhalation. Now we're going to add, see, I'm already getting a little bit warm, so I'm going to turn off the heat, because I'm starting to generate some heat from the inside. What will add to that is a shift from one foot to the other. So, I exhale, transfer my weight to the right leg, bend the knee of the right leg a little bit. Left leg is just there for support. When the inhalation comes, I let it come and I shift the weight, and then I exhale, bending the left knee, grounding into my left foot. Exhalation, finished. I allow the inhalation to happen. Now, I may seem very calm to you now, but actually I'm not. I feel rather sympathetic because I had all these technical problems before actually starting the recording. My voice box is, my vocal cords are a little bit constricted. My voice is quite high. My breath is a little bit quicker than usual. A little bit sympathetic here, okay? But I'm going to do this. I'm going to keep doing it, even if my breath is rather short now. So the movement is going to be quite long, quite short, quite, even a little bit erratic. I'm just going to stick with it. This is the most important thing that's happening in my world right now, literally. I'm going to stick with it and trust that it's going to take effect. So if you have some disquiet or uneasy feelings, that's okay. We don't have to make them go away. We just have to keep working with them. With them meaning I don't get into a dialogue over them and I don't let myself get sucked into being upset over it. I just, tell the nasty feeling or bad feeling or constricted feeling or tight feeling or closed up feeling. That's okay. You come with me to this exercise. Let's see what happens. Worst that can happen, I'm going to pick you up at the end. Now, some movement may start happening, some trembling or shaking may start happening in the legs, mainly in the quadriceps, and that's actually a good thing. That means that we have some charge building, and the excess charge is starting to ground, like the legs are acting like a grounding rod. So that's actually a good thing that's going on. And we just let that grounding happen. We just let that vibration happen. Maybe, if we're lucky, it'll get into our pelvis as well and start moving the energy in our pelvis. When I mean energy, I don't mean anything spiritual or weird or mumbo jumbo or whatever. What I mean by energy is actual blood and oxygen getting into the cells. When there's a lot of charge, that means a lot of oxygen, a lot of blood is getting into the organs, into the muscles, and moving them. Just a few more times, just so you see how it looks. I'm kind of sitting on a bar stool. I shift the weight and I'm sitting on my left leg. If you have some trembling going on now, that may feel a little bit tricky at this point in the exercise because we have much more energy. We have much more movement in the body now, but it's still early in the exercise and the body is still quite closed and our armor is still not very challenged, but it is challenged now because some energy is building up and kind of pushing the boundaries, and it might feel a little bit like anxiety, or it can feel a little bit uncomfortable, like disquiet or something going on that's not comfortable. So bear with us because we're going to open the body and allow more of that excess energy to ground into the ground.